You're tuned in to the Foxboro BeatCast, a podcast for Patriots fans by Patriots fans. And here's your host, Kaleb McChesney.
Hello and welcome to the Foxboro BeatCast, everybody. I'm your host, Kaleb McChesney. Alongside me, my co-host, my guest for the day, we got Elsio. He's become kind of a familiar figure around here, these parts. And so is Trent. Been around, last 2 weeks in a row.
Sounds about right.
Want to make it 3 next week for the Super Bowl? I'm all game. Anyways, we got some stuff to talk about. A lot of stuff came out in the last week or so about the Patriots coordinator spots. We have this new story about Mac Jones that we just can't wait to sink our teeth into by Mark Daniels on MassLive. We'll briefly go over the things that happened this weekend. If we have any thoughts on that, we have a conversation that's been stirred up over the past week. I will save you all the details there, and then we'll go through our NFL award predictions, thoughts, etc. But kick it off, Trent, Elsio, anything? Give me a little grab ass here. What's been going on? You guys have a good week? Excited to be here?
I've had a good week up until the NFC Championship game.
Really?
Yeah, that ruined the whole week. It really did.
Trent, are you in
That's
higher spirits than he is?
Yeah. I think so. I've had to be the only person I know who's not upset about the Chiefs being in the Super Bowl.
Oh, no. I'm right there with you.
Yeah, so you know how it's been. It's been rough going to work the past couple days.
Listen, I'll open the show with this, then we'll get into our football topics. People who are like offended and so mad about Taylor Swift being on TV for 25 seconds during a 3.5 hour long broadcast, get some real problems. Seriously, get some real problems. Nobody has any issue with Eminem being on TV for 25 seconds of a 3-hour broadcast. Nobody has a problem with Jack Nicholson in the 80s or 90s at Lakers games. Nobody has a problem with Spike Lee at Knicks games. What's the deal with Taylor Swift? I think we all know what the problem is. Lonely, insecure men who are really just torn up by the thought that there's a woman out there who wouldn't pay attention to them right there on TV. But
I just want to put it into perspective. It's more offensive that we have to watch Brock Purdy play an hour of football than having to see Taylor Swift for 25 seconds.
Honestly, some of these playoff games, they'd be more interesting if it was just a Taylor Swift concert. Just going to throw it out there. Yeah. So, all you chads and, masculine people who are just so offended that this beautiful, talented woman is on TV for 25 seconds supporting your boyfriend that happens to be maybe the best tight end in history. Patriots fans are going to get really mad at that. Just wait until later. Get a life. Grow up. I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
Any different thoughts on Taylor Swift, or are we all right in line with what I said?
Nope. I think you and I saw Cowherd's video too. I think you guys.
That's what inspired me to say that.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying it since the first time. I never understood why. I mean, I know why, and the reason why is I feel like the reason you said it. It's really not that big of a deal. I mean, you blink and you miss it every time they show her, pretty much.
No kidding. 25 seconds of a 3.5 hour broadcast. Give me a break. Just for that, I hope she performs the halftime show next year. And the Chiefs are there. I really just want it, just for the spite. All right, let's get right into the football topics here. The Patriots named a defensive coordinator last week, DeMarcus Covington. A lot of Patriots fans weren't enthused about this hire simply because of the fact that they wanted to go outside the box. They wanted a new, fresh name. But listen, my perspective on it, I'm okay if the Patriots touch nothing on the defensive side of the ball. Giving these coaches the benefit of the doubt that they actually have some traits to them that make them unique, that make them special, that make this defense run, that it wasn't all just Bill Belichick. I'm good with that. Keep all the defensive coaches. They all are in the same brain hive that works. So I am more than okay with the Patriots going in-house on the defensive coordinator position. DeMarcus Covington, defensive line coach before this. Defensive line's been really good. Been really good for a couple of years now. Christian Barmore, breakout year. Lawrence Guy, you got the most you could out of him in the last couple of years. Dietrich Wise, I mean, he was like a 7th-year breakout, but it worked. Other names on that D line. Deion White looked like a stud when he played. Real powerful. Can't wait to see more of him in year 2. So yeah, I'm pumped about this hire. I think DeMarcus Covington is going to be really, really solid in that D coordinator spot. But the big flashy thing that the Patriots are all waiting for is the offensive coordinator position. Obviously, Bill O'Brien leaves to go to Ohio State, be their punching bag for a little while. And we just had we had 2 names come off the Patriots interview board. Gerard Johnson, quarterback coach of the Houston Texans, he's returning to Houston. And Thomas Brown, the ex-Panthers coordinator. Kind of glad we kind of dodged that bullet there. Panthers offense wasn't very good. But we're down to a list of a couple names. Obviously, we're out on Zach Robinson because of the Rams. Raheem Morris gets that Falcons job, and Zach Robinson goes right there with him. Should be a solid fit. Can't wait to see what the Falcons do over there. But the list is down to this. Nick Caley, the Rams tight end coach, who is also the tight end coach here. The ex-Bears offensive coordinator, Luke Getsy. Lions pass coordinator, Tanner Engstrand. Engstrand? Is that how you pronounce that? Lions passing coordinator, and that's an interesting name because Ben Johnson just returned to Detroit today. He said, I'm sticking around for at least next year. So Tanner Engstrand might be itching to get his own kind of spot as an offensive coordinator somewhere. New England could be a place to do it. 49ers tight end coach Brian Fleury. 49ers assistant Clint Kubiak. And Raiders pass coordinator Scott Turner. I'm not sure if any of these names stick out to you guys, but Tanner Engstrand and seeing what he did with Jared Goff in Detroit sticks out in my mind. I'd be interested to see that kind of offense come in here. But Trent, do you have any thoughts on any of these names, or am I just throwing stuff at you at this point?
No, you took the words out of my mouth. I think anything related to the Lions pass game this year. I mean, people seem to be, I don't know, pretty out seems to be a strong word, but I don't think people thought Jared Goff was going to have as good of a year that he had. And then you have breakout performances in the pass game from guys like Jahmyr Gibbs and Sam Laporta. St. Brown looks like a top 5 receiver. I think that anything connected to that right now is definitely something that teams who aren't already set at OC should be looking at.
Elsio, any thoughts on any of the other names? Nick Caley, Luke Getsy, Brian Fleury, Clint Kubiak, Scott Turner?
I like Clint Kubiak, anyone from that Shanahan tree. I mean, it's not a guarantee, right? The Niners pass game I felt this year was solid, had good designs.
As it usually does.
Yeah, I mean, they had Brock Purdy looking like an MVP, anyone from that tree, it's a solid bet to try to hire on your offensive staff.
Absolutely. I think the Patriots could be having a hard time filling this spot because being the Patriots offensive coordinator with that absolute void of talent that we have, it's not an appealing job. The Patriots, honestly, as a head coaching vacancy, probably wasn't an appealing job. It was probably right down there with the Carolina Panthers. But we'll see how this goes. I expect us to have a hire in the next couple of weeks. Personally, I think that's attainable. But all right, there's your coordinator talk. DeMarcus Covington in, offensive coordinator still. We're looking. So with that, let's go right into probably the freshest story on the docket here. Mac Jones. It's been a weird season for him. It was a weird end to 2023, getting benched and obviously being a emergency third string quarterback in the last game of the year. Mark Daniels and MassLive published this story, I believe today. Might have been yesterday. Or no, it was definitely in the last couple of days, for sure. It was before today. The title, Inside the Fall of Mac Jones, How a Once Promising Quarterback Unraveled. It kind of goes through the 2023 season. What that was like, obviously, in 2022, we saw kind of the beginning of this unraveling with Matt Patricia and Joe Judge, a far cry from what 2021 was. And I know that in the story, it's one of the best QB rookie seasons of all time. I wouldn't go that far. Mac Jones looked pretty good. There was something to work with there, and obviously it all just kind of came apart. One of the greatest quarterback rookie seasons of all time. Just a little bit of a stretch. Trent, you got to this story before I did. You actually proposed this to me pre-show, so let's just pitch it right up to you. What are some of your takeaways that you read from this?
Well, it's a lot. I mean, I think we learned a lot about Mac Jones' mentality in particular, but there's also a good little bit from the coaches that's in there as well. And I think it was a case of very early on, the coaches, Mac Jones, everybody kind of seeing the writing on the wall. It's interesting because the Mac Jones draft pick is probably going to go down as the most consequential draft pick in Patriots history. You would know more about that than me, but that was the beginning of the end of Belichick in New England. Mac Jones, Lord knows what his career is looking like at this point, but it doesn't look like there's plenty of reason for the coaches to be frustrated. It sounds like there's plenty of reasons for Mac Jones to be frustrated. Just sounds like a bad situation overall, and we've seen kind of the fallout happening over the last 2 months.
No, for sure. Obviously, some of the quotes in this story are really strange. Two team sources noted the quarterback didn't do enough to call out teammates when things went wrong. The quarterback was described as happy-go-lucky, but lacked when it came to leading the group. One source told MassLive he was part of the problem as far as what he was doing, who he was character-wise. He's not a bad character guy, but as a guy that wasn't quite the leader of the group, he just wanted to be one of the guys. There are also quotes in here that Mac Jones was being shut out, not only by coaches, but some teammates as well. Behind closed doors, Mac Jones had little support from the roster, little support from the coaches. He wasn't a popular guy by the end of the season. Obviously, we've had reports from the very end of the season, like right after the Gerard Mayo press conference, and Jones was there, that he had cleaned out his locker, and his teammates were sick of him. I'm not sure how true all of that is. Obviously, Trent, you told me this pre-show. This kind of just sounds like Mac Jones it's coming from the horse's mouth here a little bit, and I would totally agree with that. I definitely wouldn't put it out of the question, as in 2022, one of the biggest things that led to Belichick being pissed at Mac Jones was he was going outside the building for help. The offense was so bad, he was asking coaches at Alabama for some help. Some people alluded to Bill O'Brien being that guy. Obviously, Bill O'Brien didn't give a ton of help this past year. But yeah, Elsio, let me kick it to you. What did you take away from all this? Is there anything that sticks out?
Yeah, I mean, if all of this is true, Mac Jones definitely got the short end. But I mean, I felt like it was a bad situation for both parties because even the article says Mac was playing, outside of Bill O'Brien's designs, outside of his ability. To shut a guy out, though, I feel is a bit drastic. I mean, if his teammates were sick of him or still are, potentially, it's not looking like a clean break if you and Mac go your separate ways, which, if all of this is true, you could argue maybe you shouldn't, but I feel like if all of this is true, you probably should, personally.
The probably the most interesting bit in this story that I found was this report that Mac Jones was hurt in Germany. The passage reads like this. Jones was well on his way to losing his job by the time the Patriots arrived in Germany. For fans, the tipping point came when he threw an interception to Julian Blackmon in the red zone. This podcast, we've talked about this throw at length, but if you need me to remind you, it's a 2-minute drill, I believe. They're driving down. No, they're about 4.5 minutes left in this game. Mac Jones and the Patriots are in the red zone for probably the first time all game. And he throws off his back foot. Gesicki is wide open in the corner of the end zone there. If you just put some little height on that ball, just a little bit, Doesn't need to be a bullet, but you can lob it up there a little bit. But it was just dead duck. It was just easy up, easy down. Julian Blackman comes down with it, and as Trent and I have both said, it was probably the worst throw we've ever seen a quarterback do, ever. But however, unknown to most, Jones was playing hurt. In Frankfurt, Jones suffered a stinger when Tyquan Lewis hit him at the 7:56 mark of the fourth quarter. It caused his right arm to go numb, according to a source. And obviously, 6 plays later, he throws that pass, and the quarterback ran off the field with his right arm slumped down. One Patriots teammate who was on the field for that drive told MassLive he didn't know that Jones was hurt. Shocker. The injury combined with the poor pass led to another embarrassing interception. Got it. I didn't realize Mac had 2 picks that game. Repressed memory, I guess. Despite the injury, Jones took accountability, yada, yada, yada. That's probably one of the more interesting stories. Either he's making an excuse for that, or Patriots trainers are just really bad at their job. I'll just throw that out there. Obviously, the Patriots roster wasn't very good, and we just skipped to the end here. Mac Jones' future. We're not expected to pick up his 5th-year option. Duh. There's also a report that Mac Jones, the door for him being on the Patriots roster come training camp isn't totally out of the question. As far as him playing like regular season snaps, like critical snaps for us in the future, I'd be shocked. I really would. I don't know how you could sell that to me as a Patriots fan. Say, okay, we all saw what Mac Jones was the last couple of years. Wasn't great, wasn't good, wasn't even mediocre. It was bad. I don't know how you can go, okay, give him another year. I don't get it. I think the furthest I'd be willing to go is letting him audition for other jobs in the preseason on this roster. And then trying to get any type of trade value out of it. But as far as him being here in a consequential role next year, I don't know how you can do it. But yeah, so that was the MassLive story. You can find it on MassLive. Just Google Mac Jones MassLive. It's probably the first thing that pops up. Does anybody have any final thoughts or takeaways from this story before we move on?
Nothing outside of I think it's one of the bigger Patriot stories of the offseason is finding out what value he has left if he
It's next to nothing.
I mean, what team in the league would be interested in taking a flyer on Mac at this point after this past season?
I mean, it's an affordable quarterback contract, but the problem is you need to play him to find out if there's anything there, and playing him it can be a disaster. It'd have to be a team that has a quarterback injury like in the preseason. Like you're not gonna find out. Obviously, cutting him would not be beneficial to the Patriots. Cutting a 1st-round pick is really hard to eat that dead money, really hard to handle that cap situation. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But I think that the time is done with New England. I can't see them just running that back. Good, great. We got through that. All right. We have a little bit of time to talk about this. And I know that I said that we were going to cut this out for this, but that segment was a lot shorter than I thought it would be. So Bill Belichick got his job stolen by Raheem Morris. He interviewed twice for that Falcons job and didn't get it. Now there's only 2 jobs left between the Seattle Seahawks and the Washington Commanders, and he's interviewed for neither of them. Atlanta was ironically the only job he interviewed for. So, Elsio, I mean, what do you make of that? What do you make of the NFL wanting nothing to do with Bill Belichick in 2024? And what do you see him doing in the meantime? And is there a path for him to come back to coach, again?
I mean, media, that's always a suggestion that's there. You could go to Fox, something like that, be an analyst like Bill Cowher is, or could be a Sean Payton type, do media for a year and get hired. That would be the difference because Payton was traded. I don't see a world where he goes to either the Commanders or the Seahawks, personally. Hasn't interviewed for the jobs. There's probably a reason. Either he doesn't want them, they don't want him, he wants to, whatever it is. It's surprising. I thought he, I thought he'd land with the Falcons personally. Just gotta take the year off, do media, take another crack next year.
And obviously the jobs are going to be a little better next year. Um, Dallas, I mean, if the Cowboys don't win the Super Bowl next year, could you see a world where Mike McCarthy's still there?
Um,
I mean, he
I
ran with
couldn't
Jason
believe he
Garrett for
was.
the longest time, but
I can't believe he has the job right now. So I don't put anything past Jerry Jones at this point.
obviously the Eagles could absolutely collapse. Nick Sirianni was in the getting fired rumor mill for a second there. The Jets, Robert Saleh, another year of whatever the Jets do, that can't be accepted. The Giants, Brian Dable could be out if they flounder around again. As much as I think Brian Dable is far from the biggest problem there.
Yeah.
There are a lot of teams out there that can need another coach in 2025, and the options might be a little better. Trent, what do you make of the Belichick thing?
I'm surprised that he didn't. From what it seems like, at least from the outside looking in, is that he refused to take any of these jobs without, kind of like you said, getting everything he wanted. And I'm kind of surprised that he didn't, because of course, like Elsio said, he can take the Sean Payton route, do a few years of TV, come back to the game. He's not the youngest person in the world.
72.
Yeah, he's not the youngest guy in the world. If I'm not mistaken, Nick Saban just retired at that same exact age of 72. Excuse me. I think that was a big gamble to take, and I'm surprised he didn't relinquish up that power. But far be it from me to judge the decisions of what Bill Belichick is going to do with his career.
No, and I've been saying it from day one. Not day one, but from when it seemed like the Falcons weren't gonna hire him. Probably the last couple of weeks, probably last 2 weeks when that lost steam. I said he'll go Fox Game Day for a year, and it looks like that seems to be the avenue that he's looking at, according to sources, that he'd do the Sean Payton thing for a year. And people say, "Oh, well, Belichick's just gonna snort and be mad and angry the entire time," but Belichick's pretty well spoken when he wants to be.
He was great on the all-time
The NFL
NFL
100 thing.
anniversary. Yep,
Yep,
he was
and
awesome on
obviously
that.
we all saw him living the time of his life on that ESPN panel in front of the Army Navy game. Belichick, he's going to be far from the least interesting dude on that panel. Far from the least interesting dude. I mean, who would you rather listen to on Sunday before the game, Terry Bradshaw or Bill Belichick?
I would
At this
rather
point,
listen to Bill, but I don't know if I would call Bill Belichick more interesting than Terry than
there's
Terry.
some meme value to Terry Bradshaw now. Won't sleep
I
on
don't know,
that.
man. I can't handle Terry Bradshaw anymore. But what if I threw out like Jimmy Johnson, Bill or Jimmy?
Jimmy, I'd rather listen to
Really?
Jimmy. I think Fox and CBS has a really strong. The only guy I would take off the Fox panel for Bill would be Gronk. I don't think Gronk.
Gronk, yeah, I can't say Gronk anymore. I really can't. Um, but speaking of media, I'll throw this out there right before we get to the conversation. It'll actually be a pretty good segue. Tom Brady is he's booked to do the Fox commentary next year. He's booked to be on the Super Bowl for Fox in 2025. Yeah, the Fox
Okay.
has the Super Bowl next year.
I thought you meant this year. I
No,
was
no,
like,
no, no, no.
what?
Oh,
No, that'd be a
God.
hell of a first gig.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tom Brady gonna be side by side with what's his name over there? Next to Greg Olson.
Kevin Burkhardt.
Kevin Burkhardt. It'll be Burkhardt and Brady for Fox's A team next year. So I'll pitch 3 questions. 1, how do you think Brady will do? 2, are you excited or are you dreading it because Brady's been known to maybe not have the greatest personality? And what do you make of what's going to happen with Greg Olson? And how do you feel he got in this? Do you think he got the short end of the stick? Trent, I'll go right to you. You already had the facial expression already, so I'll pitch those questions right to you.
Well, as far as am I excited about Brady? Absolutely. I mean, it's the greatest quarterback of all time. And while Brady, I think Brady has a great personality. He does a really good job on his podcast.
Really,
I believe so. Every
I
clip
wasn't huge. I wasn't huge on his podcast. I like his interviews that he does. Like he was just on the Herd today. I like listening to that. But his podcast, I don't know. I feel like Brady has just like such a short kind of spurt of like interestingness, and then it just kind of goes away. Like I'm done after 15 minutes. But
that's fair.
the
But
documentary he
also,
did, Man in the Arena for ESPN Plus, was amazing.
yeah, I think Brady's personality, while he has a lot of it, it comes out in a very dry way. But I think being next to Kevin Burkhardt, I think those two are going to mesh really well. Maybe maybe it won't be the best fit for him career wise, but we're going to get to listen to one of the most intelligent football players of all time. Excuse me, dissect the game on an analytical level every single week. I'm really excited about that. As far as Greg Olson getting the short end of the stick, I've heard a lot of mixed reviews on Greg. I like Greg
They're
personally. I
not as
think
mixed as the Romo reviews. Ugh,
well, I'm not a fan.
no,
I've never been a fan of Romo personally. Broadcast. I don't think he's bad. I don't think he does a bad job, but he's far from my favorite color guy. I think Greg does really well, but if you're Fox, how are you not going to put Brady right at with Kevin Burkhardt, give him the best chance to succeed? Nobody is watching, and this isn't a shot at Greg Olson. Nobody is watching broadcasts for Greg Olson. People will watch broadcasts just to listen to Tom Brady.
Elsio. Anything further?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm excited for Brady. I think he'll do really well. I think he'll kind of be similar to Romo. You know, Romo sometimes calls out plays correctly, but I think he'll be a bit better.
He's certainly not going to be like the giddy little kid in the booth like Romo tends to
No,
be.
you can you could say argue Greg Olson got the short end, but I mean, at the end of the day, Fox made a really big investment into Tom Brady. I think he earned that investment. You know, his career speaks for itself, and I think he's a cool dude. I think his personality will do well, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I'm interested myself. I can't wait for him to call Patriots games. Um, if we even get that number one TV spot anymore.
Oh, you guys will get at least one big game because you're going to have a top three pick. So,
But what game would they put Fox number one for us?
what's the? Let me pull up the schedule real quick.
The Patriots opponents next year, I believe we have the NFC West. We have the AFC North. We haven't played the AFC North. We haven't played the Raven. Oh, we played the Ravens 2 years ago. So it's probably God. I have no idea.
You guys play the Colts. The Colts game could just because of the history of that. Do you guys play? You guys play Chicago, so it could potentially be
Rookie on rookie quarterback.
yep,
Yeah.
rookie against rookie. The Niners are always a possibility. You guys play a lot of marquee teams
Okay.
this year. I wouldn't call the Colts a marquee team as much as I would like to, but that
Yeah, because
people
Brady's getting that America's Game of the Week slot. That's
yep.
what Fox does. Where they put the Cowboys, where they put teams like that.
I mean the Niners are
Niners
gonna
is probably the
be
best shot. Brady's a
yeah.
San Francisco kid. Grew up a Niners fan. Played with the Patriots for 20 years. I mean, the story writes itself.
Honestly, I'd be surprised if they didn't give the Patriots one just because of
Brady.
Brady.
And then Tampa will get the same kind of. I think they'll get the same kind of breath in that America's Game slot. But,
Yeah.
all right, that's enough about Brady as a commentator. Let's talk about Brady as a quarterback, shall we? So this debate has like lit the internet on fire, and I feel weird about it. That's why I haven't posted about it yet on my page because it's a bit of a. On one hand, okay, you have the Patriots, pages, the Patriots fans, who list every single accolade Brady has ever had, including probably like taking a dump at 2 years old for the first time by himself. Like these are the Patriots of Patriots honks, and then you have the national media who are beginning to look closer at this Patrick Mahomes versus Tom Brady thing. Um, Mahomes obviously going to his fourth Super Bowl by the age of 28. He's outmatched Brady in that regard. Mahomes has 3 MVPs already at this point. He's beaten Brady in that regard. Brady didn't get his first until he was like 30. What else? Obviously the stats, no competition. Mahomes is in an era where you throw the ball a hell of a lot more, and his stats by the time Brady was 28 are unmatched. So I guess I'm going to pitch the conversation here. We're going to put it here. Obviously, we don't have the staunch Brady defender in the room, but I hear Trent is pretty good at playing devil's advocate. So we're going to give it a go. Tom Brady versus Patrick Mahomes, the debate. Not only if Mahomes has already passed Brady, but what will it take? How will we know? In your opinion, including mine at the end. But Elsio, I will let you kind of take the stand here first, set us up. What do you think? What if Mahomes already passed Brady? If not, what is it going to take? How will you know? If Mahomes has already passed him, why do you say that? Why are you so confident in that? Are you just trying to beat the media to the punch here by staking your claim that Mahomes is the greatest of all time at 28 years old? Let's hear it.
All right, I'll play the bad guy here for all these Patriots fans out here.
Yeah, it's
I
about time
think
somebody else did it besides me.
I think there's a good case to make that he already has, but if he hasn't, he's very close. And I think this third Super Bowl could do it. I mean, it's less than seven, obviously, right? But you gotta make it a fair comparison here. Like, Mahomes has been a starter 6 years, right? Six.
Yeah,
Comparing to
Yep.
Brady, you all saw that graphic that came out. Better record, better playoff record, more AFC titles, uh, one less Super Bowl was without
with one to
with
play,
this one
right?
king, right? A lot more touchdowns and a decent amount less interceptions and a lot better of a QBR. Brady, it's important to know, longevity matters. Those seven Super Bowls aren't anything to knock. Brady wasn't really pushing the needle for some of those early ones. The Patriots had an elite defense, best kicker of all time, arguably, I guess you could say, but I'd say he has a good case. Solid talent around him. He could just do his thing. Mahomes has been the one to push the needle. You can argue he had Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce,
He's won
won
one
the
Super Bowl without
Super
Tyreek
Bowl
Hill.
without Tyreek
Yep.
Hill, made another one to try to defend his title. I mean, this ring could really be big for Mahomes' case. And if he won another MVP, wouldn't that be more than Brady had over his whole career?
Yes, I believe Brady has 3: 2007, 2010, 2017. And 2017 is kind of Mickey Mouse because it was Carson Wentz's trophy until he blew his ACL
Yeah.
at the end there. But then you can also say he should have won it in 2021.
I'm not gonna say like Mahomes doesn't have to play until he's 45 as well and try to match everything because that would be cool to see. But
45
I mean,
is a very hard target to reach.
yeah, let's be honest here. Like what Brady did as far as longevity, unheard of.
And he's only had
Like,
one major injury. that torn
Yeah,
ACL
the
in
torn
2008.
ACL. So I think there's a good case to be made for Mahomes here. You at least have to have him kind of shoulder to shoulder, I think.
Trent, what do you think?
So I want to kind of look at it from both sides because I think we both agree that clearly right now Tom Brady is the greatest of all time. And I don't even if the the Chiefs win the Super Bowl in a couple weeks, I don't think that changes that very much, but it's when you look at it in the context of where Mahomes is at this point in his career to where Brady was at in that point of his career. But the main thing that Tom Brady has that we're just not going to know about Mahomes is that longevity, and not just longevity in the sense of being around for as long as he was, but being elite basically not his entire career because he didn't start off elite, but the vast majority of his career staying elite and being elite up until his last season, even though some people would disagree with that last season, but that's besides the point. You look at just the counting stats that Brady has, it's going to be so tough for Mahomes to catch, even at the rate Mahomes is throwing more, he's completing more passes, things like that. The most touchdowns by a player over the age of 40 in NFL history is obviously Tom Brady with 161. Drew Brees is second with 24. Most career passing yards by a quarterback over the age of 40. Brady is number one with 23,055. Second place is Vinny Testaverde at 3.2. And then if you want to go wins by a quarterback in the playoffs over the age of 40, Brady has 8. The only other two quarterbacks to win a playoff game over the age of 40 are Drew Brees and Vinny Testaverde. They both have 2 each.
Really? Brett
So,
Favre didn't have one?
According to StatMuse, no, he did not have a playoff win after he turned 40.
How old was he when he played for the Vikings in 2009?
I think he was right there at the edge.
Let me see here.
He
I'm
was
sure that you're right,
close.
but I'm just curious.
Well, this is StatMuse, so I'm just going off
Yeah.
StatMuse. Played Brett Favre only played in 10 games total past the age of 40, according to
He was
StatMuse.
40 years old when he was in Minnesota that year that they went to the NFC title game. But I don't know when he turned 40 at that point. October 2009 he turned 40. So
So that would have been the season after.
what do you mean?
That would have been the season after when he was 39 through that playoff run and then turned 40.
No, he turned 40 October 10th, 2009. And I'm pretty sure that playoff run.
No, they went to the NFC title game the year before because it was the 09 Super Bowl when the Saints beat the Colts.
That's right, yeah. Because the playoff run would have been in 08,
Saints
technically.
versus Vikings date. Yeah, January 24th, 2010. Saints 31, Vikings 28. He was 40. So I guess StatMuse missed on Brett Favre. I can't blame them with some of the things that came out about Brett Favre not wanting to publish him at all. But yeah,
Well,
still a very small club.
Either way, point stands. Brady having 8. The rest of the guys having, I believe, would be 4 at that point altogether outside of Brady. So it's just the totality of it. Brady did things that nobody else even came close to doing. Mahomes is one of one in his own unique way in the sense that we've never seen a quarterback come into the league and be this good and not have it be some flash in the pan situation. I mean, from the second this guy was a week 1 starter, he won the MVP. And he's about to, if he wins a Super Bowl, it'll be his 3rd Super Bowl win in 5 years.
To start off your career.
To start off your career, which is unheard of. And
being the main focal point at that. Because
exactly.
you can talk about Brady's 3 Super Bowls to begin, and we'll credit him for it. Obviously, winning a Super Bowl is hard to do for anybody. But Brady was not the focal point of that team for those three Super Bowls. I mean, you can make a case for the last one, he really started to come into his own in 2004, 2005. Brady started the steps of becoming what we all saw Brady become from in 2007 and on. But Mahomes he's without a doubt the best quarterback in the league. You can't say that about Brady the first handful of years in his career.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't. And I do think that to an extent, I think Brady, as far as not having as many MVPs, I think the quarterback depth in the 2000s was a lot better than it is right now.
True.
I don't know how hot of a take that would be, but
There's some people who would say that. Somebody made a great point to me this week that quarterbacks aren't necessarily worse today than they were a decade ago, but they were just slinging it a whole lot more back then than they are now. Like there was I don't want to say carefree kind of offense, but you saw what Joe Flacco did in Cleveland this year. He was a quarterback from a different era than the ones that we see today, and it was clear. There's a lot more aggressive, pushing the needle kind of plays. Coaches have gotten a lot better, and as far as play design goes, I think, and that can be a factor too. But no, I don't think the quarterback depth is necessarily worse than it is. And again, I think we might be looking at that because so many quarterbacks got hurt this year.
well, I mean, over the totality of the last few years, I mean, Brady was being compared to Peyton Manning, Ben Roethlisberger, at one point a young Aaron Rodgers, just like Mahomes was as well. But Aaron Rodgers, even if you want to go to a guy like Phillip Rivers, I don't think there's a contemporary Mahomes has. I mean, there's not even an argument. There is no argument to anybody being a better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes right now. And I don't know if that has more to do with Patrick Mahomes just being that unique of a talent, or the other guys aren't stepping up as much as those guys did. But we've gotten into the why Josh Allen versus Mahomes isn't the new Brady Manning thing a ton. I think that kind of goes into it. But the thing that I like to point out when it comes to the Mahomes and Brady argument, that while I don't think that Mahomes is the greatest of all time, I don't think he's going to be, even if they win the Super Bowl. If you look at a sport like basketball, which is very different, Michael Jordan was being called the greatest of all time after 9 years of his career. When Jordan retired the first time, went to play baseball after the first three-peat, they built a statue outside of that arena that said the greatest of all time. And not a lot of people argued it, despite Magic having played 3 or 4 more seasons by that point. Kareem had played 20 seasons in total by that point. People were still calling Michael Jordan the greatest of all time because you just knew it. And Mahomes is very Jordan-esque in that sense. And I think there's going to be a lot of comparisons between the LeBron Jordan argument and the Mahomes Brady argument here in the next few years. But Mahomes, it's a lot of eye test. You just kind of see it, just like it was with Jordan. I think it's a really interesting argument. I think Mahomes is the best quarterback we've ever seen. I think if you look at where the Chiefs franchise was, just in a complete rut, couldn't get out of their own way, Mahomes gets there, boom.
AFC title game.
They've never finished worse than third place since he got there. So
Never finished short of an AFC title game since he's been there.
I think that speaks volumes of the impact that he had. Not to downplay the impact Brady had, but like you said, Brady was a key piece of those teams. He was not the piece of those teams like Patrick Mahomes has been.
No, I think you put it perfectly. So let me pitch this question, and this is probably the hardest question to answer. But you guys feel free to give it your best shot because I don't even know the answer. When will we know if Mahomes has surpassed Brady as far as the GOAT chart goes? Like when will we all? I'm sure we'll never all hold hands together and agree that Mahomes is better than Brady. Just like people will never hold hands and agree that LeBron James is better than Michael Jordan. I don't think we'll ever get that. But when will it become less of a hot take? I guess less of a controversial take that Mahomes is better than is the GOAT. He is number one. Brady is number two. What would that take? What would that look like in your eyes? Obviously, I think we're all in agreement that Mahomes doesn't have to get to 7 Super Bowls or play till 45 to surpass Brady. But in the interest of having the hard conversations, what will it take? Trent, I'll just pitch it right back to you, then up to Elsio, then we'll move on.
I think we'll all know it when we see it. I know for
Dodge
me.
the question. You
Well,
little
no, well,
slimy
it's
bastard.
not that. Well, it's not. I mean, I'm not a fortune teller. I don't know what's going to happen. But what I would say is, let me answer your question with a question. When did you know Tom Brady was the greatest quarterback of all time? No doubt in your mind.
I'm biased because I was a Patriots fan, but I wrote a paper 7th grade after we won Super Bowl 49 against Seattle that Tom Brady was the GOAT. I got an A+ on it, 7th grade.
That wasn't the moment for me, but I don't blame people who did. For me, it was 28-3.
Okay.
Like right there, and even my dad, which I'm a Colts fan for those who are watching and haven't watched in the past. My dad does not like Tom Brady. At least he did once he went to Tampa Bay, but even my dad after 28-3 and myself, that Super Bowl against the Falcons, I was like, it's undeniable at this point. There'll be a moment that Mahomes has. Because I don't think, unless I'm mistaken, I don't think Mahomes has a moment that we point to and we're like, that's his moment. That's the thing that makes him the greatest of all time. Not that he necessarily needs one. He's only 28 years old, but
Still a
that
lot of
was
time for it, yeah.
yeah, exactly. That's why
Yeah, like if Mahomes retired today, like before the Super Bowl, okay? Let's just throw this out there. If he retired today, what is that Mahomes moment? I maybe
The
playing
best.
playing the Super Bowl last year with the sprained ankle. That's impressive.
I mean, beating Tom Brady, you could argue that. I don't know. That's not really a
He never did
moment.
it in the postseason.
not in the postseason. I know what my moment would be.
What?
The touchdown drive to send it to overtime against Buffalo.
Yeah,
2020 AFC
Yeah, that
title.
game. Yeah.
yeah.
That game, I can't even remember if it was a touchdown drive or the when he got the ball with 14 seconds left.
Yeah, then they kicked the field goal to go overtime. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just that was the moment right now where everybody was like, "This guy is the freaking boogeyman." It is you can I mean, we always said with Brady, if you give Brady the ball with under 2 minutes left, he's going to cook you. He's going to go score. I think the only time I can think of when he didn't is the interception in the AFC title game against the Colts in 06 to Marlon Jackson. Brady in those moments, and it's what separates Brady and Mahomes in my opinion, everybody else. I would solidly put Mahomes second already.
No, I'm right
I,
there with you. Yeah, yeah.
I'd have no issue with that. But Brady, if you put him in those spots, if you give him that time, he's going to make you pay for it. And then Mahomes just took that and cranked it up to 11. He got the ball with 14 seconds left on his own 15 or 20-yard line, and
Two
like
two lasers, and they're in
yeah,
field goal position.
yeah. I think those two guys more than anybody in NFL history, it is. I think Taylor Lewan, former Titans left tackle, go blue. He put it best the other day when he was comparing Lamar to Mahomes, that there are things you can do to scheme around Lamar Jackson, even with as great as he is. You pray to God whenever Patrick Mahomes gets the ball, because at the end of the day, he's going to do what he's able to.
Also, again, you have the same question I pitched, and you have the question that Trent pitched. It all comes together. What would it take for you to crown Mahomes over Brady confidently?
Confidently. Now that's interesting because I would very much consider it if he wins this Super Bowl, but I wouldn't do it, confidently. Like there's no case for Brady. It's interesting, like because I think it'll be a hot take at least for a few more years. You need a few more years of this type of success from Mahomes. I'm not trying to say, I want to preface this. I'm not Ryan Moore here. I'm not saying he's an Andy Reid merchant, but it would not hurt him whatsoever if Andy Reid retired and he continued to be as successful without him. That would not hurt him. Like like Trent said, I went those few years assuming he has them because I don't see a world where he falls off a cliff in the next coming 3, 4 years. That one moment, like whatever it is, maybe gets a new 28 free, maybe he leads a huge comeback to seal the Super Bowl, whatever it is. Like, you need that continued success, but that one moment that'll get people going. Maybe it's true, this guy might be the GOAT. I'd crown him confidently after a few more years of continued success, and a big moment would just help me all the more.
I think bringing it back to the Jordan LeBron comparison before we close this and we get to the closer. Right now for Mahomes, I feel like we're kind of at like when LeBron had the couple of titles with Miami. And we're at the point where okay, LeBron's pretty damn good. You got to add Cleveland won a couple rings. He's sniffing right up there with Jordan, but we can't confidently say it yet. I don't know when I thought LeBron was better than Jordan. I can't pin that as well as I thought when Brady was the GOAT because that was such a pivotal moment of my childhood. But yeah, we're in the early stages of this conversation. But number two, I feel like is a slam dunk. He's got same amount of rings as Peyton on his way to another. He's got he's got a couple more MVPs to catch Aaron Rodgers. As much as how much stock you put into those MVP awards, I think Rodgers has like 5.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty solid. I assume that Mahomes is going to have 5 MVPs at this rate. I do. And that's a crazy thing to say in a vacuum, but I think we all expect Mahomes to get a couple more MVPs by the time it's all done. So yeah, we're in the early stages of that conversation. Patriots fans, I feel like need to stop being so defensive about it. The copium that they're putting out there, some of these Instagram pages is unbelievable. Yeah, they're intimidated. They really don't want to be forgotten about. As a Patriots fan, listen, I've seen my team win 3 Super Bowls as a fan. They won 3 more before that. I am perfectly good. I am okay. I am A-okay with the Chiefs going out there winning the same amount of Super Bowls in the same amount of time span as we did. I am very much okay with that. Am I a mature person for saying that? I don't know. But Patriots fans need to just get over it, please. Just enjoy it. Enjoy the football, for God's sakes. Is that crazy?
I will
No.
say, you feel like that in the same way that I, as a Lakers fan, didn't care about the Warriors winning every single year because the Lakers were horrible and the Lakers weren't winning in general, and that's kind of where the Patriots are at. When you get to the point where a Colts fan was, where you're making it to the playoffs every year and you're just getting slapped by the same team, your tune will change very different. Your tune will change very.
Listen, I can be mad at them for beating my team up and down the sideline. That's fine. That's okay. Like I'll be mad at them for that, but just going out here and just denying that they're going to be a dynasty with this win, and denying that Mahomes even has the case of being one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time because you're mad about it. That you're mad that everybody's going to forget about Brady. Everybody's going to forget about Belichick and what the Patriots were in the 2000s and 2010s. Give me a break.
I mean, let me just say this, like, if or when, whatever you want to say, if Mahomes solidly surpasses Brady in the majority of people's eyes, like, Patriots fans gotta quit acting like being the second greatest quarterback of all time is like saying the dude's crap, right? Like,
This isn't a NASCAR race, people. Second isn't the first last here.
no, like the second greatest quarterback of all time before Mahomes now was probably Peyton Manning, and everyone loves Peyton Manning, right? I mean,
Eh.
not everyone, but the
You don't
majority of
like Peyton
people
People have
love
warmed up
Peyton.
on Peyton in retirement, but I don't know if he's universally loved or anything.
No, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, people haven't forgotten about Peyton Manning, and he was never the GOAT. I mean, Brady was always in front of him in that argument, I feel like. people won't forget about Tom Brady just because Mahomes goes out and wins a couple more rings, gets a couple more MVPs, whatever it takes.
And again, it's sports, okay? It's sports. Your life isn't dependent on if people think Mahomes or Brady is the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
But Patriots fans are such tunnel visioned babies that they want the world to revolve around them, and they have a really hard time adapting to the world that we're in now, where the Patriots are irrelevant. Nobody thinks about the Patriots anymore. Like, the firing of Bill Belichick is probably the last time that we're going to be in that national media spotlight.
Oh.
Think about that.
Oh,
Well-
you'll be at the draft.
Yeah.
Just a different kind of spotlight.
We're going to be like the Giants.
Oh, I don't know about all that.
Nobody really nobody cares about the Giants. Like, do you really care what the Giants are doing with pick 6? Like,
It's
did you care
interesting.
when they drafted Daniel Jones?
I care about
I
the
thought it
Patriots
was
at
a bad pick.
pick 3, though.
Okay,
Yeah.
so maybe that draft, maybe that third pick is the last time that we're in the center of the national media, unless whoever we pick at 3 is going to be like the next dynasty quarterback, which bring it on. But well, I don't think the Patriots matter anymore. Like, I don't. They matter to Patriots fans. I don't know if we're gonna be in that national media darling anymore, like ever.
I don't know about ever. I mean, it might take a while, but
Listen, there is one team every 20 years that gets the Patriots treatment, the Chiefs treatment. Like, unless you're the Cowboys, who just get that treatment for God knows why. But I don't know. I think that was a good conversation. I think that went better than we thought it would.
Yeah.
Ryan, I know you're not watching, but if you are, we'd love to have this conversation with you. Feel free to just call me. All right, let's get to our NFL awards here. Because it's a little early to predict the Super Bowl, I don't like doing that 2 weeks out. We're gonna do that next week. We don't have any crucial thoughts about the games from last weekend, do we? Obviously, if you didn't catch it, our drift yet, the Chiefs and the Niners are going to be playing in Super Bowl 54, or not 54, God, 56? 56? 57?
I can't off the top of my head. I honestly can't remember.
See, we're all footballed out at this point, man. It's been a long
The
season.
one Taylor Swift is going to be at, I guess.
And
go
the
with that.
players gonna play in the
I
Super
think that's
Um,
58. 58.
58?
58.
That's what
Yeah.
I saw. Yeah.
Super Bowl 58.
Jesus, there's been 3 Super Bowls since Brady with the Bucks. My God. Okay. So Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas. Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, Brock Purdy, George Kittle. Niners, Chiefs. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Awards. You got your MVPs, you got your Coach of the Year, your Offensive Player of the Year. We're just gonna go right down to it. Let's just start off nice and easy with the Coach of the Year. I will rotate between Trent and Elsio to give me their picks and why. We'll kick this off with Elsio. Elsio, Coach of the Year. Who and why?
I love how you say you're going to start it off easy. And for me personally, this is actually one of the hardest to pick.
Same here.
I mean,
I got my
the
I got my vote that's secured in my brain, but
all the guys have a really good case. I mean, you can't argue with a conference chip for Dan Campbell or John Harbaugh, but I mean, I'm, I don't know if this is going to be controversial. Give me D'Amico Ryans. Like, look what he did with this Texans team. They were a bottom feeder, had what, the second overall pick or third or fourth, something like that, right?
something
High
like that.
draft pick. No, they looked like a pretty hopeless, hapless, terrible team, punching bag. You get Stroud in, which is important. You get Will Anderson in, which I thought he was a bit quiet this year. I don't know. You hired D'Amico Ryans, divisional round. Big jump, big jump. And I thought Shane Steichen deserved some looks for the same reason, heavily improving his team. But give me D'Amico out of the group.
Trent, you were pointing some fingers at Elsio for Shane Steichen, and the good fingers, not the bad ones. What do you make of this Coach of the Year race?
I think first of all, I do think Shane Steichen should have been invited. Personally, it is tough because, like Elsio said, I feel like all of them have a pretty good argument for being Coach of the Year. I would personally give it to either D'Amico Ryans or Dan Campbell. I lean Dan Campbell for some of the reasons I said last week, that keeping this organization with the culture it's had for the last 30 years focused, not letting the hype, not letting the noise get to them, even when they went on a bit of a rough patch when Goff was really starting to come apart for a few games there in the middle of the season, to be able to keep them focused to get them to the NFC title game. And I understand it's just a regular season award, but even if we're just going off the regular season, I would give it to Dan Campbell, but for all the reasons Elsio said, I think D'Amico Ryans would be a phenomenal pick to win it. I'm not as crazy. From what I've heard, the favorite is Kevin Stefanski. I don't know if that's still the case. I'm not crazy about Stefanski winning it over Campbell or Ryans. I'm hoping it's one of those two. Me personally, I go with Dan Campbell.
So I'll throw my guy who's not going to get any votes, but I'll throw him out there. I would like to see Matt LaFleur get some credit for dragging the youngest team in NFL history to the playoffs. That's cool.
The youngest
But
since the Juice.
who's the juice?
What?
You talking like was OJ a coach or something? Like,
OJ, aren't they the youngest since the OJ Simpson Bills?
oh, I thought you said the juice. I'm like, OJ wasn't a coach.
No, I meant young. Sorry, but I shouldn't have jumped in with OJ Simpson of all people. I probably shouldn't have done.
Yeah, dude, way to murder that segment. Anyways,
Oh my. Anyway,
um, yeah, I think Stefanski's gonna win it. Last I checked, he was still the favorite. But I like LaFleur. I think Campbell for all the reasons you guys said. As much as I hate those kind of coaches, but yeah, I like LaFleur. I think Stefanski's gonna win. Campbell's just as good. Yeah, pretty cut and dry for me. I didn't put too much thought into it. Up next, comeback player of the year. We all know it's gonna go to Damar Hamlin, but taking out just pretend that thing didn't happen last year, and give me your thoughts on who should win comeback player of the year. Trent.
I can't remember off the top of my head who the finalists are. I know it's Baker Mayfield, Tua, Joe Flacco, Damar Hamlin, and who am I missing?
Well, it's certainly not Jimmy Garoppolo.
Is it Jimmy Garoppolo?
Probably not.
Um,
I can't think of anybody who missed significant time last year just to come back. Burrow got hurt early. God.
Either
I don't know.
way, Damar Hamlin's gonna win. And we've never had a guy almost die on the field and then come back and actually play snaps. So I'm not too upset about it. Matthew Stafford, that's who else was there. I would love to see Joe Flacco win it.
I'm right there with you.
Yep, I would love to see Joe Flacco win it. As unenthused and unimpressed, uninspired I am by Tua Tagovailoa. I wouldn't mind to see him win it either, especially with what he went through last year. People were wondering if he was even going to have a career after that. But I don't have any problems with Damar Hamlin winning it. I would like to see other guys win it, but the guy almost died.
Elsio?
Yeah, I mean, let's just get that out of the way. None of the other guys talked like literally being dead on the field and coming back to life. So that Damar Hamlin's gonna win it. I mean, people say he barely played. Even I said that, right? I'll
I mean,
admit my guilt.
I'll be perfectly blunt about it. DeMar Hamlin is not a very good football player.
No, but I mean, he did
Really
die
bad.
and come back, but
Also, kind of
so he's
dirty.
going to win. I would
Before he got
say,
hurt last year, he was just hitting receivers up high in the head neck area. I mean, he was throwing caution to the wind with some of these
if
hits.
if I had a vote, though, Joe Flacco,
Yeah, right. The
personally,
Foxboro BeatCast, you heard it here. Joe Flacco for comeback player of the year. Right there with you guys.
uh, yeah, that's Joe Flacco.
I'm not going to separate this one. We're just going to go rookies of the year. Give me your offense and defense in one swig. Elsio, what do you think?
Offense, it's CJ Stroud very easily, I think. I mean, you can make a case for Puka. He was historically good. Gibbs and Laporta had really good seasons, but the quarterback, right? I mean, Stroud's the quarterback. It's a more valuable position. I'd argue we did more for his team, but I think it's Stroud. And defensively, let me be biased here. Let me cook Joey Porter Jr. I
Why do you
don't
say
think
that?
he's a lockdown corner. I mean, he didn't start the year, that hurts, but he's just a lockdown corner. If I have to guess who will win, I think Devon Witherspoon has a really good case.
Trent?
Offensive, I know he's not going to win, but I would give it to Puka Nacua. As great as CJ Stroud was, and he was phenomenal, Puka Nacua quite literally had the best rookie wide receiver season in NFL history.
Yeah,
Broke every single record there was. CJ Stroud was great, don't get me wrong, but he's not even the best rookie quarterback we've seen in the last 15 years.
Well,
You know,
if you ask MassLive, Mac Jones is.
yeah, no kidding. But I mean, what we've seen from CJ Stroud this season, we've seen it before. Andrew Luck was a phenomenal rookie as well. And RG3, even in the same season, was phenomenal. I would give it to Puka. Personally, I think Puka is not going to get nearly enough love. The CJ Stroud hype train is at an all-time high, and I will put out a prediction that the media is going to turn on him very quickly next season. Because that's just how the media is. But I would give it to Puka Nacua.
You think CJ Stroud is the candidate for the sophomore slump next year?
Not that I think he's a candidate for a sophomore slump, but I think that if he regresses in any way, even if he regresses to just 3,500 yards, an above average season, the media is going to start ripping him. He's overhyped, blah, blah, blah. They did the same thing with Andrew Luck. That's what the media does. They build people up to tear him down, just like they're building up Brock Purdy right now. You wait until after the Super Bowl.
Well, if you ask Ryan Clark, I mean, you got to ask him every now and then.
Yeah, Brock Purdy's better than Justin Herbert now, apparently, if you haven't seen that clip. But I would go Puka for offensive rookie of the year. Defensive rookie of the year, I think Kobe Turner should get more love. I really love the Rams today. I just realized that. Kobe Turner, I think, should get a lot more love than he's going to get. I don't have a problem with Jalen Carter or Will Anderson winning it. I think it's going to be Jalen Carter if I had to guess. I guess I should separate it. My who I think should win, Puka Nacua and Will Anderson predictions, CJ Stroud, Jalen Carter.
Yep, I'll go with the CJ Stroud thing. It's between those two, between Puka and Stroud. Stroud is the quarterback; he gets it. Unless you're if you want to compare the situation to the last time a receiver won Offensive Rookie of the Year over a quarterback, it was Mac Jones and Jamar Chase. So the quarterback has to be Mac Jones if they're gonna bypass a quarterback. CJ Stroud lit it up, had a really good year. Puka record breaking and all that, but the quarterback wins every single time, and he did what he did with a subpar kind of team.
By the way, in case anyone is interested, Jalen Carter is minus 225 according to VegasInsider.com. Jalen Carter is minus 225 to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. CJ Stroud is a massive favorite, minus 1,000 to win Offensive Rookie of the Year.
And I'll go Jalen Carter on the other side because I don't know a ton of defensive rookies. I will say, if Christian Gonzalez didn't get hurt, he'd be up here. Damn it! But yeah, it'll be Stroud and Carter. All right, up next, defensive player of the year, Trent.
Myles Garrett. I can't imagine we're gonna get too much of an argument about that. He was insane this year. One of the single most valuable player on one of the best teams in the league. Probably the best edge rusher season we've seen since prime JJ Watt. Is that a hot take?
Elsio's got some looks like he's about to say another Watt brother, but go ahead.
No, Myles Garrett was insane this year. Obviously, there's a lot of great candidates. It's a stacked list. I would go Myles Garrett personally.
Yeah,
Elcio.
I'm biasly going to say TJ Watt should win it while admitting that it's a very biased take. I think Miles Garrett will win it, probably should win it. Yeah, that's it.
Is he the heavy
It's
favorite,
Miles
Trent?
Garrett.
Miles Garrett?
Not heavy. He's minus 200. So I
Who's the
feel
next guy?
Micah Parsons plus 300. TJ Watt is plus 400. And then there's a big dip off after those three.
Micah had a really good year. I'll stick with Miles Garrett. He was getting some MVP talks before any single quarterback woke up and started to decide to play well.
Yeah.
So I'll go with Miles Garrett for sure. I wouldn't hate seeing Micah Parsons get it neither. After that, offensive player of the year. I'm gonna guess we all say Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tyreek Hill deserves some love, but I think it's CMC. Maybe if Tyreek didn't get hurt at the end of the year, it'd be a little bit more of a tighter conversation. But unfortunately, that's just kind of the way the ball goes. So I won't spend too much time on that. McCaffrey had a great season. Scored a touchdown in all but like one or two games. Just another phenomenal year. But it's crazy what happens when you put Christian McCaffrey behind an offensive line that knows what they're doing, and an offense that knows what they're doing, and just watching him light it up. Am I forgetting any awards, or are we just going right to MVP?
MVP.
If we want to talk about it, assistant coach of the year,
Oh,
which
give me a break.
I don't see. Well, I will say,
Participation award.
I just want to say one thing. The fact that Steve Spagnuolo, first off, the fact that no Kansas City Chiefs got nominated for any of these awards is nuts. Steve Spagnuolo, most of all, not getting nominated for best coordinator of the year is insane to me, especially with how much people said the Chiefs offense stunk this year. Thought I'd give him some love because I feel like he deserves it.
Yeah,
Is Ben Johnson the favorite, I would assume?
I'm sure.
This website does not have odds for that unless I'm missing something. They have head coach odds. Stefanski is a massive favorite. Wow. I'm kind of shocked. When is this from? Hold on. Because this
Pulling
has
up an article from November.
I mean, shoot, did I? I don't know because it doesn't have a date on it.
No, I remember Stefanski being the heavy favorite going into the playoffs.
Yeah, but they have Steichen as the third favorite, and he's not even
Yeah.
a finalist. Hold on.
Trent will do some research.
There's not a
MVP.
date on that. Yeah, MVP.
Lamar Jackson. He kind of turned it up at the end of the year there. It might not be a popular pick after he pooped on himself in the AFC Championship game. But God, was there another quarterback that was as dominant as Lamar was at the end of the year there?
Nope.
Do we want to talk about Brock Purdy at all in a negative light? Or do we want to save it for next week?
Yeah, we can save it. I don't think Lamar should win MVP.
Ooh,
I know he's going
okay. Okay. But who do you think?
I think it is 100%, and people complain about, oh, the MVP has become a quarterback award. Did people not see what Christian McCaffrey did this year? In an era where people devalue the running back position so much,
Guilty.
On a team as loaded as this one, by far and away the most valuable player on this entire roster was Christian McCaffrey. He was arguably the best running back and receiver they had on the entire team.
Yeah.
And it really bothers me. And I love Lamar. You guys know me. I'm a huge Lamar Jackson fan. And I think if it's going to be a quarterback award, he deserves it more than any other quarterback this season. But the fact that it is just cut and dry, we're going to give it to Lamar when Christian McCaffrey had one of the best seasons we've ever seen from his position, I don't think it's very fair, but that's just kind of the world we live in now.
I mean, I'm gonna throw in. I agree. I think Christian McCaffrey should be the MVP, but I just know what they're going to do. They're going to give Lamar MVP and give CMC the non-quarterback MVP award, which is Offensive Player of the Year, which it's nothing to sneeze at. But when a guy should realistically be the MVP, it's a bit of an insult.
Adrian Peterson, 2012 was the last non-quarterback to win MVP, right?
Yep.
Honestly, I think there's no more fitting time to do that than this year, but I think we've all just kind of shoot in Lamar Jackson there at the end.
Yeah.
JJ Watt should have won in 2014, but I think we've actually talked about that off pod before, Kaleb.
Have we?
I think we did a little bit. That's the only one that majorly sticks out in my head is like a quarterback absolutely should not have won, and it was when Rodgers won over JJ Watt.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean that season, that's probably the best season we've seen from a defensive player in NFL history. I mean, you'd have to go back to Lawrence Taylor to see a season that good.
Oh, absolutely. So yeah, that's all the awards. Obviously, we're not going to talk about the Super Bowl until next week, losers. All that in mind, Elsio, Trent, any parting thoughts for our audience here? Elsio nods no.
You can get the Chiefs at even money right now to win the Super Bowl for all of my gamblers out there.
Have you put anything down?
Not yet, but I'm going to once we get closer. I think there's something about Vegas and the Chiefs that they just do not like them. I don't know what it is, but there's a lot of people making a lot of money on the Kansas City Chiefs this year.
All right. And we'll talk about more about that next week. Trent, can I expect you there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, let's go. All right. This has been the Foxboro BeatCast, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow the show, comment your feedback, give me your take on the Brady Mahomes thing. I'm sure I'll hate every single one of you crybabies doing this whole Brady defense thing, but it's okay. And yeah, we will see you all next week for the Super Bowl Super BeatCast show. Yippee! This has been the Foxboro BeatCast. Thank you all for watching.
Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Foxboro BeatCast. Make sure you like and subscribe and follow us on Facebook and Instagram.